Well, hello there, my fellow rushers. How are you doing today? King Rexy here, and today we're gonna be taking a look at Kingdom Rush reviews. But not just any reviews, we're gonna be looking into the particularly bad ones, because believe it or not, Kingdom Rush has quite a bit of bad reviews. And even though some of them leave quite a decent feedback in the form of criticism, most of them are questionable. So we're gonna be taking a look through a handful of those, and if you guys like it, I might do another one for Frontiers. So yeah, without any further ado, let's take a look at the first review that I've selected. And the first review of today just says Tesla coil. Sad face. Okay, you can clearly tell this guy is just memeing at this point, like, what is this review even? Just Tesla coil bad? I mean, yeah, as you can see, the Tesla is kind of obliterating everything right now, so yeah, I won't disagree with this guy. Okay, 66.3 hours at review time. Fun game, but just too hard. Even on casual, some levels are impossible to beat, not worth the frustration. Yeah, I don't know. At this point, he's admitting that he has skill issues, because how can you say levels are difficult on casual difficulty in the first Kingdom Rush game? Like, come on. But if you take a closer look, he has 66.3 hours at review time, which is pretty high. And then when you look at his record, he has over 500 hours, which is quite a significant amount. So I assume this guy came back to the game after he wrote this review and actually got good and got rid of his skill issues. So props to him. This one has 5.7 hours at review time, 6.6 hours on record. I don't see what all the glowing reviews are about. I played through the entire campaign in 3 hours and have spent another 2 struggling to complete any of the other modes. Heroic and Iron. Without champions, this game is just too difficult. I don't know, maybe I suck, but I've been playing tower defense games since the original Bloons. Yeah, this doesn't make a lot of sense. How can you have been playing tower defense games since the original Bloons came out and you think Kingdom Rush is difficult? I mean, sure, I get it. The first few Heroic and Irons are kind of difficult since you don't have any heroes, but saying that it's too difficult, I mean, come on. It's called challenge for a reason. It's supposed to be like that. And if you're complaining about champions not being available, you can just go to the further ones, because I believe after level 10, you can, or level 9, you can use heroes on the Heroic and Irons. So yeah, I don't know what's the problem with this guy. This guy has only 2 hours on record. Extremely average tower defense game, complete with childish graphics and overly optimized difficulty that requires grind. Mobile game tier, not worth 10 bucks, could easily be free. Okay, it's pretty clear that this guy is just bashing the game because he sucks. I mean, with his 2 hours of game time, you can clearly tell which towers are the best, which ones are the worst, what strategy is the most beneficial for each level, how to get no lives lost on veteran. Nah, with his 2 hours, he can do anything. So yeah. I mean, the childish graphics are whatever, you know, some games have childish graphics, others have hyper-realistic ones. I mean, come on, this is Kingdom Rush. You're not getting something crazy like The Forest, where it was made, I believe, in Unreal Engine 5, which is not the original Forest, by the way, Sons of the Forest, which is a great game. But saying that the difficulty is overly optimized and it requires grind is just straight up false. Because the way Kingdom Rush works is, you can play on the lower difficulty and then come back with more star upgrades to beat it on the harder difficulty. That's called replayability. But I think this guy doesn't know what the replayability means. Because, damn, that's some bad review right there. Alright, this one has 21.1 hours on record and 19.5 hours at review time. Very annoying gameplay. Well, that's a strong start. From the repetitive lines to being unable to fast forward stages, they took zero effort in making this game. It contains a lot of uninspired memes / references, since they cannot come up with anything remotely original themselves. Yeah, annoying gameplay, you say. I don't know, I don't find Kingdom Rush gameplay to be annoying at all. And what does he mean by repetitive lines? I think he's referring to when you move a hero or you upgrade a tower, because, you know, they have a lot of voice line. I mean, come on, this is not League of Legends where you have like 20 different voice lines on every move you make. This is a tower defense game. Imagine if they had 20 different sound effects for everything, including attacks. This will be a cacophony of noises at this point. And the fact that he's complaining about a fast forward button is just straight up amusing. And yeah, about the developers not being original. I mean, come on, the game came out in 2011. They're gonna reference stuff that was popular back in the day. They're not gonna reference something that's super outdated or anything, right? So yeah, I don't really get the second part of the review, but the first one is just pretty bad. 15.1 hours on the record. No speed up button, such an obvious, simple and relatively easy thing to implement that would make a huge difference so that you don't have to sit waiting half an hour to see if some tweaks to the overall defense would yield better results. 2 out of 10 would be 8 out of 10 with the speed up. Okay, this is just straight up another complaint about not having a speed up button. This is not BTD6, my guy, come on. There's so many people complaining about Kingdom Rush not having a speed up button. And I like how he puts it 2 out of 10 without it, like bruh. Kingdom Rush is so much better than you think, but then again, everyone can have their own opinion, I suppose. Alright, 0.6 hours to review time, oh my god. You think this one is gonna be bad, but trust me, this guy brings up a good point. Tower AI targeting is absolute garbage and would rather throw bombs at single enemies earlier in the path rather than clusters of enemies in range further down the path. Artificial difficulty from AI stupidity. Yeah, that's actually a good point to make. Because artillery towers function a little bit differently from others. Just because of the way they predict. They have a prediction. Every artillery tower, well, most artillery towers, have a prediction system where they're gonna shoot where the enemy is supposed to be at. But if you block him with barracks or reinforcements or your hero during the reload time, the artillery may end up whiffing. So yeah, I mean, it's annoying, but you can work around it, you know. You can just build your strategy at the edge of the artillery range. You can try to not stall enemies right at the beginning, you know. There's ways to optimize it and play around this mechanic, but I guess this guy just didn't want to bother. I mean, what a surprise with 0.6 hours. You can't expect a lot, alright? Okay, 3.8 hours on record. This game is literal trash now. They removed everything from this game. Game currency, multiplayer, skills, etc. Wouldn't play it for free now. This game was a golden gem when I used to play on Facebook back in 2015. Yeah, I mean, besides obviously bashing the game, what does he mean by multiplayer and skills? Skills, I think he might be referring to stuff that was in the Flash version, but the multiplayer? Multiplayer in Kingdom Rush. Since when had Kingdom Rush ever had a multiplayer feature? Did I miss something big back in the day? But then again, I've been playing Kingdom Rush for like a decade, and I've never heard of a multiplayer version. And yeah, I like how he complains about game currency, which is, in this case, gems. I mean, yeah, the shop is not available on the Steam version, but if anything, that makes the game more interesting, because not having access to the shop items means you have to actually focus up, and you can't just cheese your way out of a difficult wave. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. Let's see, 3.5 hours at review time. I remember playing the game years ago and loving it, but coming back to it today, it just doesn't feel like it has held up. Towers are not that interesting, partially because you're limited to 4 basic towers with a single upgrade path until tier 4, where you get slightly more variety. Levels have weird difficulty spikes, and a lot of the times it's just whether or not you know what's coming up to build the correct counter. Winning just doesn't feel satisfying due to the lack of depth, especially before you get access to tier 4. At the end of the day, it just made me want to go back to BTD 6. This one is hilarious because he complains about the game having weird difficulty spikes, which is just normal. I mean, every tower defense game has a difficulty power spike at some point, right? And then he complains about having limited options and building a counter to said enemy. I mean, that's just normal gameplay, right? And then I like how at the end he adds, it just made me want to go back to BTD6, because BTD6 is the exact same thing. The only difference is that, well, you have more variety of towers. But then again, BTD6 is quite different from Kingdom Rush. So yeah, I don't know why he's comparing a game that came out all the way back in 2011 to a game that came out like 5 years afterwards. Yeah, it just doesn't really make sense to me. Like, compare it to something relevant to its time. But it is what it is. 1.4 hours on record. Jesus. I really like tower defense games, but this one rubbed me the wrong way from the start. I strongly dislike the spamming farmers to slow enemies down aspect. Just give me a bloody slow tower instead of the silly clicky spammy thing. Maybe this gets better later in the game, and maybe it doesn't. But I'll never know because of the terrible impression it made on me. Oh my god, I never thought someone would complain about reinforcements in the first Kingdom Rush, but here we are. I live to see this day. Holy shit. Imagine complaining about reinforcements. Like, they're one of the most interesting thing about Kingdom Rush. You can do so much stuff with them instead of just blocking enemies. You can group up enemies, you can separate high-tier enemies from a group, you can clump up enemies for a big rain of fire, you can stall bosses, you can kill flying units if you have them maxed out. There's so much stuff you can do with them. And then he just proceeds to call them a silly, clicky, spammy thing. Like, bruh, that just hurts my heart. It hurts my heart even now after reading this again. Like, damn. Okay, 19.4 hours at real time. That's actually kind of solid. Used to be super good. Early stages are great and lots of fun, but new stages either are just completely retarded. Even on easy mode, to try 15 different strategies and more, and you can't even win a stage ever. Like, ever. Then you finally think you got it, and then some completely retarded boss shows up that one-shots your 20 lives just to put all your day efforts back to 0. Early stages up to the end of former campaign, 10 out of 10. Later stages, 0 out of 10. No fun, just frustrating and impossible to beat on even the easiest difficulty. That one is hurtful as well. So, the main campaign, he managed to beat it pretty easily, I suppose, but 15 different tries on the same level and you couldn't beat it at all. And I like how he says that you can't even win a stage ever. Like, it's not possible. But it is. You just have to upgrade your strategy. Think differently. That's the whole point of Kingdom Rush. You need to adjust your strategy for every level. You can't spam Tesla every day. I mean, sure, you can if you're good, but for the most part, an average player is not gonna be able to pull it off because they lack micro. And I like how he puts the main campaign 10 out of 10, but the later stages 0 out of 10 and calls them no fun and frustrating and impossible to beat. Like, bruh, you just say you have skill issues, it's as simple as that. So yeah, that's quite a lot of reviews that we've seen, but I think I'm gonna go for one more, so let's take a look at it. Alright, for the last review, this guy actually has quite a bit of hours, 29.1 hours on record, which is pretty decent. So let's see what he has to say. Hello guys, first of all, this game has good graphics, heroes and towers. Pretty strong start. To be honest, this game is good, but it has flaws. For example, you want to upgrade towers to maximum to clear a level, but you can't because you have to grind so much money during battle. My suggestion is this would be price decrease for towers and tower upgrades at least by 50%. That way, you would be able to play the game and enjoy it. I had to use glitch, I don't know what this is, some sort of software, to clear harder levels because it was impossible to save enough gold. I guess all Kingdom Rush games have this problem. That is the only flaw of this game. If you're a hardcore player who likes challenge, and I mean big challenge, then this game is for you. If you don't like this genre, then I cannot recommend this game to you. There are a lot better games than this one. I never thought I'd see someone complaining about not having enough gold in Kingdom Rush. Like, what was he trying to do? Was he trying to go for all the expensive upgrades? That's not how you play Kingdom Rush at all. Bruh. I mean, sure, some abilities definitely have to be slightly cheaper while some need to be more expensive, but 50% reduction in, like, do you realize how easy the game is gonna turn out to be if everything was 50% cheaper? And he says at least, so he wants the minimum to be 50%. Imagine getting a Tesla for like 150 gold. That would be so busted. Like, my brain is just malfunctioning at this point. This one hurts. And at least at the end of his review, he pointed out that the game is very challenging and that if you like challenging games, this one is pretty good. So, in a way, he kind of recommends the game, even though he may not have realized it at the time of making this review. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for today. We went through quite a few reviews, and some of them were okay, some of them were memes, while others were just straight up ridiculous. And yeah, maybe I'll make more of those if you guys like it, so if you want to see more of this stuff, you know what to do, just leave a comment down into the description. And with that out of the way, that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you everybody so much for watching, I appreciate you for sticking around to the end. Subscribe if you want to see more of this content in the future, and while you're at it, drop a like on the video, it means a lot to me. And I will see you in the next video. Until it comes, that was King Rexy, over and out.